G'day, welcome back to the channel. I have not monetized this video because I don't want people thinking I'm trying to leverage this into some kind of personal gain, but it's a very important thing I have to say here. Just a few hours ago, it was reported that a US military helicopter had collided with a commuter jet in Washington, DC. The commuter jet was on its approach to a runway. So this military helicopter was operating on the approach path to a busy airport, and it didn't have ADSB operative. It turned off its ADSB. I'm sorry, it beggars belief. Now, if you have a 250 gram drone and you want to fly it in your backyard in the USA, you've got to fit a broadcast remote ID module or have remote ID built into that drone, because safety and security. Apparently that drone without remote ID is a danger to people and property. Yet we have a large turbine military helicopter operating on the approach path to a large airport, and this happens. No ADSB. What is the FAA doing? And now I don't think the FAA has control over the military, but what is the US government doing here? Something heads need to roll. Why did anybody authorize a military helicopter to operate in an environment like that without its ADSB operating? It is unbelievable. It's unacceptable. Now, the claim is that military aircraft in the USA turn off their ADSB for safety and security. It could compromise their security if they flew around and people knew where they were. Well, I'm sorry. I would like to see the evidence that on any occasion, having an ADSB broadcast coming from a military aircraft has cost a life, even one life. Because we've just seen that not having ADSB turned on has cost many lives. And that's unacceptable. There has to be a balance here somewhere. And as I say, the sheer lunacy is that we can have this massive, great military helicopter capable of bringing down a commuter flight, operating without ADSB, but you're not allowed to operate your 250 gram drone in your own backyard, under the bushes, in the garden, without remote ID. Your regulatory framework is utterly stuffed in the USA. There have been so many deaths recently in civil aviation, and not one of them has been as a result of the recreational use of multi-rotor drones, yet the myriad of other problems simply don't seem to be being addressed. We, as a community, as a hobby, are being held to the highest order, where no death must result from the use of drones. Yet, okay, if planes get brought down by bird strikes and people die, that's okay. If commuter flights crash into military helicopters that don't have their ADSB turned on, that's okay. It's a cost of doing business. I'm sorry, but let me repeat again. The recreational flying of multi-rotor drones is the safest form of aviation we have ever had. Full stop. Not one person anywhere in the world at any time in history has died as the result of the recreational use of a multi-rotor drone. Yet increasingly we are subjected to some of the most restrictive regulations there are. Somebody has lost the plot. Anyway, tell me what you think. Go down to the comments. This is a tragic disaster. Families are grieving. Innocent people have lost their lives because of paranoia in the US military. And even if it is a genuine concern, then we must make rules that say you may not operate. If a drone can't fly on the approach path to an airport, why do we let military helicopters do it without an ADSB transponder active? That makes no sense. We saw what happened when a drone hit a manned aircraft in the Palisades. Put a dent in the wing, put a hole in the wing, a little bit of bend in the rib in a spar. Nobody died. No one was injured. The plane was flying again within days. But when you hit a military helicopter, it's a completely different story. So how come one is allowed, the one that can bring down an entire airliner, that's allowed, but the other, no. And so much coverage is given to the tiny drone that punched a little hole in the wing of an airplane. I don't know. I am lost for words on this one. I really do. My heart goes out to those people who have been affected by this tragedy. It should never have happened. It must never happen again. I call on the US government to get their act in order. Stop over-regulating toys and start taking into account the fact that human lives are at stake when you give the military carte blanche to do things that you can't even do with a toy drone.